Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie. And happy Wednesday, guys. We're so glad to be back in Chicago. This is going to be a juicy episode because we're continuing our recap on the Ultimatum Season 2. This episode is on episodes 6 through 10, but we have Rae Williams from the Ultimatum Season 1 recapping with us today. And you know she's going to spill some behind the scenes tea, how that show is actually filmed. So, we are excited.
Yeah. So excited. She's going to bring such a unique perspective to our recaps because, you know, just like us, like how we've been through Love is Blind, she's going to be, you know, letting us know how her experience was on the Ultimatum. So we're excited about that. But before we get into it, Natalie, can we talk about New York City guy? Like how was the weekend?
I was like avoiding this question. I was like, please don't ask. Please don't ask. Okay, so I had a really good time. If you guys didn't listen to last week's episode, I shared with you guys that I was spending the weekend in New York with New York City guy, and it went really well. Like I really do like him a lot. Like I do. I don't know if my last relationship kind of like messed me up. And when I say last relationship, I mean my last public relationship, if you guys know what I'm saying.
I think they know.
Where like anytime I feel like there is like a potential red flag or like just a sign of incompatibility, my walls just go up. Mm-hmm. And I know it's kind of like an issue with me, but I definitely had those moments during the weekend where I was like, I feel like we're a little bit incompatible, or I feel like we're just like a little too different. But I mean, yeah. So I don't know, that part like really scares me. And I think that holds me back to seeing where it could really go.
Yeah.
I just like recognized that about myself last weekend.
Yeah. I feel like it's okay to be a little bit jaded from past relationships, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that you're finding qualities that like might be incompatible with yours. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you should avoid it, but like, don't make him fit. And I think we've talked about this before. Like, don't make him fit to be the person. But like, I always say this, like, go with the flow, baby. Go with the flow.
I know, but that's the thing. I can't go with the flow. I feel like I'm like, seriously. So the way I date is so different because of my relationship from the show and kind of how like just unhealthy that relationship was and like how it got to the point of being so toxic that I was like, I just don't want to do that again. But now I don't trust my own intuition, you know, or like my own. Yeah. And so I'm like, so that's why I'm being like ultra careful, but he is such a good guy. He is so kind. He's a great listener. He just always gives me a lot of like reassurance and validation. You could tell he has a very like healthy, secure attachment style.
I love
while
that.
I'm like an anxious avoidant.
Those two can
after
fit
talking with
together.
My therapist.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he's great. I think like we just like differ in I think like lifestyle a little bit. Like he's extremely active and he like you could tell he's, you know, loves new experiences and I'm just not really like that.
Doesn't love new experiences, but does Love is Blind.
I know. I was like, after that, I was like, I don't need any more new experiences. I was like, F that.
Enough of a lifetime.
So dude, it's like things like that.
Yeah, I totally get that because even in like me just like talking to people, whatever, it's like I get so attached so easily that I'm like really trying to practice non-attachment in just even in situations and like partners or potential partners, whatever it is, you know? So it's like, yeah, it's a hard place to be, but yeah, just keep going, baby. The more time you spend with him, you'll figure it out. It'll be pretty evident to you.
So we're actually going to LA next week.
Yeah, that's right. Concert. Yeah, I'm so sad I'm missing that with you.
I know. That'd been like so great if you could come. But yeah, so you know, we'll just have to see how that goes. On the pooping subject, though.
We can't go an episode without talking about shit. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so I didn't bring it up at all. But I'm going to try to slowly like bring it into conversation on our next trip and see if he's like, I could get him like warmed up on talking about, you know, like IBS and poop. I still haven't told him I had IBS.
So I don't think it's having to do. You got to tell him.
Tolerant. I know. I didn't know how to like bring it up. I was like, do I just like shout it? Like, I'm like, hey, IBS.
You know what you should do? On the very first episode of our podcast, you wore a crew neck that said IBS on it. I think that's what you should show up to at the airport in LA. He's like, IBS. I feel like that's a perfect icebreaker.
No, I think I'm gonna get a shirt that says only hot girls have IBS.
Yes, 100%. I wholeheartedly support that.
So he's gonna be like, what? You're not hot. So you must not have IBS.
You're so annoying.
But anyway, so I just went, like we went to brunch and that's when I went. And I was just like, oh, the line was really long. Like it's crazy. There was no line.
Yeah, he knows. He probably had direct view to the bathroom. He's like, what line?
I was like, there's like 20 people in front of me. Nope, just went immediately in. Anyways, so that's how I got through the weekend.
Good. I'm glad.
It's just like every time we were out, I'd just be like, oh, coffee shop. Gotta use the bathroom. I was like, oh, I just have a small walnut bladder.
Which is actually true. You pee a lot.
That's true too.
Very frequent.
Yeah, I pee every like 30 to 45 minutes, which I heard is really bad. Like you should be training your bladder to hold more pee. But, you know, I'm like, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it's sometimes like you break the seal every single morning. Like you're not even drinking.
Oh my God. Okay, talking about breaking the seal. You know how there's a saying like when you drink and you have to use the bathroom, you're like, oh, I broke the seal.
Yeah.
I used to get it confused with my water broke. So I used to be on dates, like, and we'd be like drinking and be like, oh, I think my water broke. And I was like, I'm using the bathroom.
Oh, you like flipped it. I thought you meant.
Yeah, I used to think
pregnant people said that break the seal means my water broke, but it's the opposite.
No, yeah, like I thought that my water broke meant I broke my seal. Like I forgot that I got the sayings confused.
That's
and I used to always say like, oh, my water broke. And they were like, what?
What?
And I said that for years.
I was going to say,
like,
how
years
old were you when you found out that you were saying it wrong?
Last year.
Shut up.
Yeah, Ayana corrected me. She's like, bitch, your water didn't break, you dumbass. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, I have to go pee a lot.
What and she's kind like, of friends didn't tell you that was you're saying it wrong? They're like, we're just going to let that one ride.
I know. Honestly, I think that's the case. I must not say it like very often, but I definitely have said it on dates with guys.
Yeah. I wish Ayana didn't correct you. I wish Ayana didn't. Because I wish you would just take that to the grave.
You're such a mean bitch. Anyways, what's new with you?
Nothing really. I am just, after traveling for so long, I'm so happy to be home and to get a routine going. I'm finally like working out consistently. I'm like cooking more, which I'm not going to lie to you. In my last apartment, I barely cooked. I don't think I even used the oven for the last like 8 months in my last apartment.
Really?
Swear. Just because like we would always go out to eat, or like I would just get like salads or something, whatever.
Yeah.
And since my last relationship, like I just haven't been in the mood to cook. I'm like, it's just not fun to cook for yourself, but I found pleasure in it now. I find it so relaxing, and like putting energy into my food makes me happy. I'm like, oh, I like this. Good green.
Okay, well, good thing we live in the same apartment building, because you're gonna have to cook for me. I never cook, to be honest.
Yeah. I used to cook all the time, and then after the show, I was just like, nah, I'm good.
No, yeah. I mean, I used to just eat lean cuisines, like the microwavable meals. I'd have nothing in my fridge, but I'd have like 20 lean cuisines in my like freezer portion.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm fucking dead. No more lean cuisine. There's preservatives in that shit.
I know. I think honestly, if I die, my body will be preserved for 1,000 years because of how many lean cuisines I've eaten.
It's like McDonald's where it doesn't rot.
Yeah, literally. Like I know it has like definitely coated my body with preservatives. So
I'm dead. But yeah, nothing new. Nothing really new. I'm just excited to get back into a routine. I'm feeling myself again. So
yeah. You're looking great. So we love a little healthy girl era. I need to get into that with you.
Yes, I'm in my wellness era, baby.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm in my like chips and salsa era, so I need to like make some changes. But anyways, we are so excited for this episode. Like we said, we're so excited to introduce Rae. This is the first time that myself and Deepti are talking with her. And so we're really excited. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
From season 2 of The Ultimatum, Rae Williams, welcome to Out of the Pods.
Hi, I'm so glad that you guys have me here.
We're so excited to have you because it's gonna, honestly, like, you have such a interesting perspective on recapping these episodes with us. So we're so excited to have you on.
I'm excited. All right, let's get into it.
All right. So before we start, how did you end up on The Ultimatum season 1? Like, I feel like I'm just so curious about that.
Yeah, so we were the first season, so it wasn't even a thing. We were kind of the guinea pigs. We had no idea how the concept was going to work. Basically, the way that producers went about casting was they were asking around Austin, do you know of a couple where one part of the couple is ready to move forward and the other is not? One is more settled, maybe the other is not. One is looking for marriage and the other is not. A bunch of people suggested Zay and I, and they were kind of saying, like, he's more ready to settle down than he is. And then they reached out with the concept, like, if you are ready to take the next step to get married, to settle down, start a family, and your partner is not, go into this show to kind of date other people and figure out if you guys are meant to be together. The way that it was, like, kind of first pitched the show and the way that we thought it was going to be was, like, everyone was going to be in, like, a big house. I think I pictured it like we're all in a big house.
Yeah.
We're all maybe, like, going on dates, but maybe, like, staying with our original partner. I didn't fully realize the concept and that it was, like, a full swap and you'd be in your own apartment. So that was, like, a shock.
So you have no idea that you were getting yourself into the situation that you were in.
No. So I read through the contract fully and it talked about, like, cohabitating with another person. And I thought we were going to all be in, like, a group house. So I didn't kind of get the full gist of it until I got there. And then Zay and I had to have a conversation to the side where I was like, okay, like, do you still want to do this? Like, we're here. Should we just go through with it? And he was like, yeah, I really, really, really want to be here. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's why doing a new show, like, I don't think I would have done Love is Blind on the first season because, like, I like knowing what I'm getting into. Like, I think it would have been a really scary concept. Yeah, I think it would have been a really scary concept, like, doing a show without having seen a previous season first. So that is crazy. So, wait, were you guys all based in Austin then? Because I know for Queer Love, they pulled couples from various places across the U.S.
Yes. So we were all based in Austin, and I don't know how they managed this, but none of us knew each other prior. We were all kind of like guessing, like trying to figure out if we, like, had any connections, if we knew each other. I don't know if they went through our Instagrams and made sure we didn't have mutuals, but I did not know any of them beforehand.
Wow. Okay. So how do you feel about, like, just watching the new season? I just want to know because, like, I know Natalie and I, for me personally, when I watched, like, the next season of Love is Blind after ours, I was, like, a little bit anxious. It felt so weird to watch it. How do you feel watching it?
Watching a reality show that you were on, it's just so weird because you have that, like, insider perspective of, like, okay, this is how the process actually works, or, like, you know how the cameras are set up, you know, like, how it goes. So you're kind of watching it. It's like being at a restaurant and you already know how the food is made. It's like, okay, this is so weird to watch. My feelings watching season 2 is I had a hard time kind of getting into it at first. There's some characters that I do like, and I just kind of know how the editing works going into it and how the process works. But I really liked the first few episodes with Lisa, and I'm sad that she had to leave early.
I know she brought the drama, right? And you kind of see it at the reunion too. Yeah. And you see it at the reunion too. But we talked about this in our last episode when we recapped the first 5 episodes of season 2. We were like, producers were pissed that she had to go. Because I feel like the other couples, I don't want to use the word boring, but I feel like they're more I think aside from Antonio and Roxanne, I feel like the other couples are kind of like, they don't like really starting drama, or they don't like really putting themselves out there, I felt like. So I don't know. It just, it definitely was a different vibe than your season. I feel like you guys were kind of all like open and kind of just like put it all out there and really took the experiment for, like, I think what it was at the time of, like, you really try with your partner or see if there's something there. I didn't feel that with this season.
It's interesting though because it like really depends on the cast. You know what I mean? Had also the couple not have left because of the pregnancy, I feel like it could have added a layer of like, I don't know. It would have been interesting to have them in because I feel like there'd be more layers and maybe some romantic connections. But it really depends on the cast and the chemistry.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, the chemistry and the swaps were definitely lacking.
I kind of agree with you on that. Also,
Yeah.
something that I did reply to someone who was like, "Oh, I don't like season 2 of The Ultimatum. They seem more reserved during their swaps." I was like,
Mhm.
"Notice how you guys dragged us on season 1 for months and months and months."
Oh, right.
And I feel like people want reality TV to be how it was in the early 2000s, like unhinged, crazy, a little bit more open, but they also forget like people have to like live after on social media and deal with like the constant like feedback. So I think that keeps people like more reserved. That's like a point that I read out. I was like, maybe they're not fully like diving into the swaps because they're very aware of like how season 1 was perceived.
That's so true because
100%. Yeah.
like the old the like Real World, like The Challenge, all of these
Yes.
like reality TV shows, internet wasn't interneting then, you know?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so it's like much harder now when you get in the backlash and the opinions of people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
No,
So I
100%.
think
I
people are
think
more
that
conscious of that going in.
yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that parasocial relationship just wasn't there back in the day. You just kind of
Mm-hmm.
watch the show and then it kind of ends. But now you got, Instagram and TikTok and where you could like comment back to people. So,
Mm-hmm.
and, send them like private messages.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just like a different world. But you're totally right. We actually talked about that, about Love is Blind season 4 After the Altar, where it was less drama than the previous After the Altars. But I
Mm-hmm.
think what's happening is the cast is learning from previous seasons
Mm-hmm.
what not to do so they don't receive like the same sort of like feedback and
Yes.
backlash, because we've all been in the position. It gets really overwhelming when you get so much like negative backlash
Yeah.
on social media.
So wait, Rae, before we get into the recap though, like what happened on your season or what was the backlash that you're getting?
Oh yeah. So what happened on my season was we didn't fully understand what we were getting into, and we were all people that were used to dating monogamously. So then we go into this and then the producers are like, "Okay, you guys are broken up." We all didn't
Right.
really take it like that. We're like, okay, we're single for a few weeks, but we were still talking to our original partners, like checking in with them. Everybody, each couple had their own boundaries as far as like the physicality of it. Um, like for instance, Zay and I, we agreed that we were allowed to kiss our partners, but nothing else. So when he went a little bit further, that like really triggered me, which you see at the reunion. I think with me, the thing that was the hardest was Jake and I had the most genuine connection. We had the best connection out of all the swaps. And I feel like we got a lot of pressure from production just because of that. But also, we just genuinely really clicked. And then I just felt terrible because I know that like impacted April. And then April and
Yeah.
Colby had a friendship. So she's kind of looking at Jake like running off into the sunset. And then her and Colby are just kind of like friends, kind of just going through the show together, supporting each other. And then, the thing that I would like to clear up is that Jake and I did not hook up. And there was something that happened off camera between Jake and April where she was seeking comfort from someone else outside of filming another man. And it was like physical, and Jake felt completely betrayed by that. But then also it's like, hey, blurred lines. We're in this experience. You're sleeping next to me every night. It's like, yeah, April did what she did, but she would not have done that if you guys were not on the ultimatum. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That
It's
makes
interesting.
sense.
You have to be in like that mindset. And it's so funny, the concept of it. And me and Natalie talk about this. Like, it is such a difficult thing. Like, I don't think we would have been able to do it. So kudos to you for going through that experience, because honestly, it's not like it's like a light switch where you're like, okay, now you're off and your feelings just go away. Like, immerse yourself into this new partner you just got, like
Right.
that has to be the hardest thing ever. So kudos
The girls
to you
were
on that.
crying a lot off camera and comforting each other. And then I noticed that a lot of people kind of commented on our season, like, you guys are delusional. Like, how were you guys okay with it? I'm like, we weren't. We just put on a brave face and went through it. And then when I saw Lisa getting all the backlash, like, obviously she should not have like put her hands on Brian.
Yeah.
But the way that Lisa reacted, I was like, that is how most women would feel on internally, whether they show it or not.
Yeah. And she was pregnant, so I'm sure she was like hormonal too. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I kind of excused it. But at the same time, the things that she was saying, I was just like, oh my God, these are very uncalled for statements.
My thing was, I probably would have felt like what she was portraying, like internally. I think it was like tough because I was like, I don't think you should ever put your hands like on a partner type of thing. But it just shows, I think that scene showed like, shit, it's like really hard. It's not just like, because like I think to the viewers, you're like, well, you're in the ultimatum. Like he's allowed to date whoever he wants. But then you're like, that's not how like real life works. You still, you know, you're like, that guy still owes me loyalty. You talked about how watching season 2, you kind of like see the editing piece. What did you, I guess, did you see where you felt like editors played a part in certain scenes on this season?
Yes. I think that with the characters, they kind of made them a little bit one-dimensional, where it's like Kat is the pushover and Tonio is the one who's just swooning for Roxanne. Roxanne is Miss Business. Alex is, you know, I don't have a word for how they edited him.
Is he Mr. Business?
But also business, but I think it did kind of make them like one-dimensional a little bit.
Okay, I agree, because I feel like at the reunion, there was a clip of Kat that played where she says to Roxanne, like, I don't think like what you're saying is coming from a place of good intent. And then they took that out of obviously the actual season itself. But I was like, I think that shows like Kat kind of like sticks up for herself. She's not like this agreeable, timid person.
Right.
Again, they probably took it out to make her seem like she is this, like she kind of just like nods and agrees. Yeah. And you kind of see that she's not like that at the reunion. So I think you are right. They're making them into these like boxed characters.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense too. Like even in our season, they want to see the progression of each person. So they're like, okay, let's have these people start off this way and see if there's any like progress to who they want to become, or if like, you know, they learn something from their partner. But one question I did want to ask you was, the craziest part to me is the switch. When you guys all sit down in these different little things, right? I feel like the switch, like during that time, it's like so much longer and it gets edited down to like 10 minutes.
The choice, you mean?
The choice. I'm sorry, the choice.
The choice is the most uncomfortable thing.
It seems so. It's uncomfortable watching it. And we're only watching like little bits and pieces, but was it like a lot longer? And was it like, is it harder? Like, are you guys like contemplating? Is there like pushback? Like, no, I don't want you to be my partner, or like that kind of thing? Did you experience that?
Yeah, well, for season 1, it was more complicated. I think for season 2, with Lisa and Brian leaving and then them just kind of like swapping how they did, it was easier for them. For us, we had 2 proposals. We had a lot going on. And the way that it's set up is they put you at this long table and the seating is very strategic. And then they're like, I need you to stand up and say a good 5 to 10 sentences about why you want to choose the person that you want to choose. Because at first, I can't remember who it was who went first, but like we stood up and we were like, okay, Jake. And then we sat down there like, oh, no. You need to stand up and you are going to be sat directly across from your original partner and from their original partner. And you're going to say every reason why you want to do a trial marriage with this person. When I tell you guys, I was shaking, and I was watching season 2 and I was like, it's so uncomfortable, but you're prompted to do that. You have to list reasons why you made your choice.
Yeah.
So it looks like you're just like gushing about this person.
Do you also have to talk like kind of negatively about your ex too? I feel like at The Choice, they always talk about like what their partner or their current partner is lacking and why like their new partner makes it better, like why they chose them. Like, is that prompted too?
The way that we were prompted with that is just, what is something that you feel like you're missing in your relationship that you want to work on? But of course it's edited. So you could say, this is just a total example. I could have said something like, I wish that Zay and I could work on our communication. And after the swap, I'm looking forward to working on listening to each other more. But the way it could be clipped is, I'm looking forward, or Zay and I need to work on communication, and then cut in clip of me talking about how Jake is a good communicator. So it looks like I'm just like, does that make sense?
Like your partner your new partner has the things that Zay was missing, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh man, that is the hardest thing ever. If I had to sit there and listen to my partner talk about everything that I was lacking and how this new partner had it, I'd be like, I'm leaving right now. Absolutely not.
But you know what I was thinking about? I think when it's like prompted, I feel like it would hurt less instead of you just like saying like blah 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 blah, because you just know everyone has to do it. I think the way it's edited on the show is it just sounds like you're kind of like saying my partner's lacking this and this is why my new partner is great. But I think we heard this from Tiff from Queer Love.
Mm-hmm.
They said that it's way longer, and so I think about how quickly it happens on the show, like the choice, and I was like, so much must be cut out. Like it can't be this like all this just like short, intense, everyone's like looking at each other type of thing. I don't know.
Well, Rae, to Natalie's point, did it soften the blow for you? Like that you were prompted instead of...
Yes and no. I was holding Madeline's hand under the table. I was shaking. It's just a very uncomfortable thing. And I felt when I was watching season 2, it just looked... I think for me, when I watched The Choice, I think the person who I saw, like, I related to is, like, Antonio. Just, like, the look on his face when Roxanne was choosing Alex, I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah, I was gonna say PTSD, yeah. And what's even wilder is those ladies' nights and the guys' night. I'm like, why are you being so cruel and putting them all in a room to talk about their partners that
is
they're
it
with?
As awkward as it is on TV? I feel like it's just like so weird that they're telling each other about their partners, like especially Roxanne and Kate, especially Roxanne and Kat.
Yes.
I was like, what? Like I'd feel so weird. First of all, Roxanne saying like, oh, like Alex wants to hook up and like Kat's right there. Yeah. I don't know. And then, Roxanne being like, hey, like your boyfriend lies a lot. It's just like weird.
Yeah. Girls' night is just like the worst. It's reality TV genius. I mean, you've got girls that are staying the night with each other as original partners, throw in a bunch of alcohol, put them across from the person that they're like trading with, and then just let it roll, let it fly. The way that we were prompted for those scenes is it's like, talk about what's going good in your trial marriage, talk about what's not going good in your trial marriage, and talk about something that you think, like a positive, constructive criticism for your person's previous, this show's so confusing, for your person's original partner that they could work on when they go back with them.
Yeah.
And that's how the conversations went. But it's just obviously it got very messy, both seasons.
Yeah. What can I tell you? I feel like I said this on the last episode when we recapped episodes 1 through 5, but I think because there wasn't as many romantic connections in this season, I feel like your season was a lot harder to deal with, because in this season I felt like, weirdly as torturous as those nights were, the ladies and guys night, I felt like they actually learned a little bit about their partners that they came into the ultimatum with, which I was like, okay, I like that they're growing a little bit. Some conversations were just ridiculous, but
Alex and Antonio's.
Yeah, literally.
Can we talk about that after this?
Talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh man.
Okay.
Alex and Antonio.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, so we start with episode 6 where Roxanne is confronting Alex about telling Antonio like she doesn't respect him, or like he thinks that Roxanne doesn't respect him. That was okay. That fight made me dislike Roxanne and Alex at the same time, and I don't even know how that was possible.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like, do you think that Alex shouldn't have told Antonio how he felt? Like that Roxanne didn't respect Antonio?
I think that Alex had every right to say that, and that's what the prompt is. That's what you're supposed to do on guys' night and girls' night. As someone who filmed the show, you're supposed to share that. I think Alex could have definitely presented it a lot better. And
me too.
That the disconnect there was Roxanne was thinking that Alex definitively said, Roxanne said she doesn't respect you. Where I took it as Alex was saying, I feel like based on the way she speaks of you, she does not respect you. And then Roxanne was also talking about Alex to Kat. So while she's mad at Alex, it's like, well, you were also divulging and giving your opinion to Kat. So you guys were both doing the same thing. I just think that maybe Alex could have like softened it a little bit for Antonio, because Antonio is a sweetheart.
Yeah. I think that's, you nailed it. I think that's exactly what it is. The way Alex delivered it was, I think, what hurt Antonio so much. And he wasn't giving like constructive details on like no specifics on exactly what he meant by disrespect. Cause it's so open-ended.
Yes.
I know that's what was pissing me off about Alex is like, he wasn't giving examples of like, you know, like, hey, she like, you know, says some things like you could work on like constantly or things like that. I was like, you're just like not, yes, you're sharing your thoughts, but you're doing like saying that Antonio is Roxanne's whipping boy. I was like, what the fuck does that do? Like, that's not constructive. Like, you're just being kind of like an asshole at that point. And that's why, like, I do agree with you. I think Roxanne is in the wrong by not realizing she did the same exact thing by talking about Alex to Kat and negative things, but it was her thoughts and her criticism and, you know, but also Alex, I feel like he thinks so highly of himself. He doesn't realize where he like kind of like fucked up. Like he has no consideration of how he like delivered the message either.
Yeah, he was intending to hurt Antonio and not help him in his relationship, you know? I think that's the difference, really.
I don't know.
I the type of person who is like, as long as I'm being honest and expressing my thoughts honestly, I'm not in the wrong, without realizing maybe he could have softened it a little bit. He's like, well, I'm telling my truth. I'm telling the truth. But it's like, well, you could have maybe worded it a little bit better because it's just a sensitive situation.
Yeah.
No,
well, speaking of fights, what did you guys think about James and Ryan's fight? That just came out of nowhere. Remember?
Okay, I kind of laughed during that in the beginning because Ryann comes off so sweet. And then all of a sudden you see like the night cam where she's all like she kind of like standing her ground and like talking back to James. And I was like, you know what, good for you. But it was like definitely a different side of Ryann than, you know, on the more formal footage.
Yeah, honestly, I think she was just so fed up. Like, she was just like, dude, like, all I did was wave my hands. And I get it. That's probably a trigger for James. And it just shows how he's unhealed. But I was just like, wow, this conversation's escalating so much. But it kind of reminded me of my ex-boyfriend. We were very toxic. And I was like, we're talking in circles and there's no solution here. Like, let's just go to bed, you know?
But I think I did kind of feel for Ryann in that situation because I dated, obviously Zay had childhood trauma, and you can only be there for someone if they let you. So for 7 years, James did not explain his triggers. He did not explain where his triggers came from. So Ryann, you know, waves her hands around and she's unaware that that's a trigger, and he reacts to it. And she's like, well, that's not fair because he wasn't opening up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. No,
I agree with that too. I was in a relationship like that too. And it's like, it's tough because you want to be understanding, but also it's like you have to also look out for like your mental health because like that has an impact on you. And so I definitely felt for her. I was shocked at what James revealed, like when he mentioned that he self-harmed. It was since age 9. Like that was... I can't believe he revealed that for the first time on TV to Ryann. Like that was like the moment where he told her. Because I was like, not only are you telling someone that you've been with for so long that scared that she would judge you, but you're also doing it on TV.
Yeah. I think when you get pushed to a certain point, every conversation that you have when you're filming, there's always this noise in the background. Like, I'm on camera, people are going to perceive this. But once you hit an emotional threshold, it's like, fuck the camera, I need to express this. And I feel like that's kind of where they were at. And honestly, people can see James like opening up about that and maybe feel like they can open up to their partners about it, like hopefully before it gets to that point, like before years.
I know. I'm actually really glad. Go ahead, Deepti.
No, I was going to say, I honestly really I like the show for that reason, because I think like it brought James to the point where he could express those like, you know, traumas to Ryann. But on Ryan's side, though, I mean, as understanding as she can be, it doesn't mean that she has to tolerate it if he's unhealed, you know? I truly believe that, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, but that was, I don't know why before that scene, I thought like Ryann and James, like I couldn't really understand like what problems they had.
Right.
It more felt like James wasn't, because I was like, maybe he doesn't want to get married because they're so young. They're, like they were like 23 when they filmed this. And I was like, maybe it's just more like a maturity thing. But yeah, I feel like when he revealed that, I was like, okay, there's like definitely way more going on in their relationship.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they kind of like did not address it at the reunion. I mean, I guess I understand why too. It's a really sensitive subject, but then they get into like James after dark. And I'm like, what? Like he just revealed this huge thing, this serious thing on the show. And then like the next update we hear is like this compilation of how he's into like mid-level bondage. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And then the games
I literally
they were
was so
playing,
confused.
and the games that they were playing at reunion, I was just like, okay, I guess you guys don't have anything to talk about. Let's just
like the whiteboard.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny.
So that was my thing about, I think, like James and Ryan's storyline. And I was like, I feel like, I don't know, like I was like, what really was like the issue, and was it kind of like solved and addressed? And then he reveals this like huge thing that impacted his life, and then it's just kind of like he reveals it and that's kind of it. It's just like, okay,
I'm sure
I don't know.
They have the resolution to that, and we just didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
I think that Ryan is extremely supportive, and now that she's equipped with the knowledge of his childhood trauma and what he actually went through, then they can take the steps. They can get him into therapy. She can be there, and she can be like, okay, tell me what your triggers are. Tell me what things remind you of your childhood, so I don't, do those as much. And then he can work on being more open, like moving forward.
Yeah,
that's true.
Being compromising.
I was really surprised though that Ryan's connection with Trey had such an impact on Raya. I don't think I realized how much Trey liked Ryan. First of all, I just thought it was like, oh, it's just kind of like more like a crush casual thing. I didn't realize like those feelings were like, like he really did like Ryan.
Yeah.
Honestly, I fell in love with Ryan in these episodes. Like, she's amazing. She's gorgeous, and she's so sweet. I love her accent.
I was like, I
love her.
For me. As soon as she was talking,
I think it's the accent.
Yeah, she has that like southern sweet charm to her. I'm just like, oh, you're like such a ball of love.
Because of her accent, going back to James After Dark, that's why I was so shocked at that clip, because I was like, I thought you guys were like these like Christian, like they don't have sex, because they hadn't moved in together. So I was like, oh, you guys are just like, I don't know, like
no, Natalie, the quiet ones are always the freaks. What do you mean?
I live in Texas. Let me tell you, those southern girls, those are the freakiest ones.
Exactly.
The quiet ones you don't expect. Those are the ones that are like,
they're the freakiest in the bed. Lady in the sheets, freak in the sheets. That's literally.
Yeah, I was like, what? When James was like, yeah, I went from like inexperience and mid-level bondage. I was like, you guys have sex? I was like, what the fuck? It was wild. But anyways, going back to Trey and Raya, what do you think about this couple, Rae?
Yeah. Oh, so starting with the whole city conversation, I thought it was kind of odd to me that Raya was like, I want to experience a life in the city for a year and then move to the suburbs. And Trey was like, no, suburbs. Yeah. I was like, that kind of sounds fun to me. Like a year in like a nice apartment, right? You guys are child free. You guys are dating. You guys are like running around the city, experiences, new restaurants every week. And while you're doing that, you're house shopping, finding the best house for the suburbs. That's how I would have done it if I was them, so that they can both get what they want. But Trey was just like, no. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then, of course, we're seeing some conversations on camera for the first time of like, well, what do you want out of a marriage? Where do you want to live? Like, and talking about children and things like that. And it was kind of one of those things where I was like, were they not having those conversations prior to filming? Or was that a prompt that they were given and they kind of had to have it again on camera? Because I was like, how are you guys thinking about marriage, but you guys weren't having these like practical conversations? I think that we don't see a lot of like, for me, I would have liked to see a little bit more chemistry between them, but I also think that editing had a huge part in that. And I feel like they're a couple that if you met them in person or had dinner with them, it would probably make a lot more sense. I think there's a lot of love there and a lot of stuff there that we're just not seeing.
Yeah. I agree, actually. Yeah.
Well, Trey said something on Instagram where it goes back to the reunion. I know I'm fast forwarding. When Lisa was not owning up to her comments to Raya, it showed, they cut out, I guess Trey had said something to support Raya, to like kind of defend her, and they cut it out. So it kind of shows like he's just kind of this like
Well,
I feel like, and I feel
there's
like
like a
I
lot
don't know.
more.
Yeah, there's like you're right. I think that there's like a lot more to them.
Are edited.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
it.
reunion is supposed to be your time to like break it all down, let it all out, like really discuss things. And like even like my reunion, like when I'm like screaming at Zay, they cut out what made me like really scream at him, so I look nuts. But I feel like the reunion should be a lot less edited than like the show itself is. I feel like the
100%.
reunion should be where everybody can just hash it out for real.
Exactly. Yeah. If this reunion for season 2 felt very surface level, I was like, why are we playing games? Like, there's a lot of things we need to address here. But also going back to what you said, Rae, about Trey and Raya, like playing devil's advocate, I thought about it from another perspective. Like with Trey, I liked when he was like, Raya, like, you don't even have a plan. You just want to live in the city and like whatever. Like, it's like, I think they would have had to get new jobs. I don't know. This is what I'm in, like, assuming. I don't know. I'm just assuming this, but I thought from like a financial perspective, like living in the city is like more expensive. So like if they're on a track to buy a home, like, is that going to pan out? That's how I viewed it. But again, who knows what their circumstances are. And like, if he could just be willing to like compromise, like for a year rolls by so quickly, you know?
Right. And I didn't know, I think she was, I don't know, because, you know, in the first few episodes when Lisa's like, Hooters, bitch. I don't know if Raya was like serving and able to just kind of move around. And I don't know what Trey did for work. So I don't know if they were living in the middle and maybe it was like, I can switch to this restaurant and you can work from this and we can do that and then move. I don't know what. There's so many things that we don't know, but I get what you're saying. Like if it's not practical, I understand why Trey's like, no, let's just settle into our home.
Yeah. But see, these are good questions for the reunion. Like, why? Why don't you want to move to the city?
Another good compromise could have been like, you guys get your house and then like one weekend every month, you guys get an Airbnb in the city and you guys take that time to like connect, talk about your relationship, where it's going, your marriage, and you guys are like going on dates around the city and like doing that for her.
Yeah. Wait, I like that. You should slide into their DMs and give them that suggestion.
I know.
I follow both of them. I'll just
part of the podcast.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll just clip this podcast and like send it over and be like, some ideas.
I love that.
Yeah, I always wondered if like Trey had more reservations about moving, just to like add to Deepti's point, because I remember Raya saying in the earlier episodes how I think she was talking to James about how she wants to be like wine and dined. Like she expects like the guy to like pay for everything. And she goes, obviously, like when we're married, it'd be like a split, or if something were to happen to my partner, like I'd step up. But I think she was like, for now, I expect like the man pays for everything.
You're right.
So
that was in the conversation.
I wonder if that goes
Brian.
through. So I wonder if that goes through Trey's head of like, oh, I'm gonna have to afford like the move and everything.
Lifestyle.
Yeah. Because she said she wanted her rent paid for and all of those things, but she would pay for like electricity and like the smaller bills, and then groceries they split or something like that.
So like a 70-30 divide kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like yeah. Teach their own, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, I'm curious though, like what happened? Like, did they mention at the reunion where they moved or did they stay? I don't remember.
I don't remember. And
I don't think they addressed it.
I don't remember the whole living situation being mentioned at all. Maybe we need to rewatch it.
No, I feel like they didn't. I tried to rewatch it again yesterday. The only thing they talk about is how their wedding is in 2025, I think. Okay. Which I really liked. I liked that they put it like further in the distance because they're so young. I'm like, why are you trying to rush it? Just have fun. Like, you're so young. At 24, 25, I had no idea what the hell I was doing with life. Like, I still kind of
And now
don't.
they have a baby on the way too, so.
What?
Ryan Trey?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I haven't like fully creeped on everyone yet.
Well, thank you. Can I imagine this? I need to like check
Instagram. What? Then speed up that marriage. Let's go. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, Trey and Raya announced that.
I think you're right.
Oh my God. I didn't even know.
Ryan commented, James commented, everybody commented and said congratulations.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
A boy, if I'm not.
It is.
We love a Netflix
They did
baby.
comment about it. No, Vanessa loves a Netflix baby.
Does.
You know what I was thinking? Because I feel like the season 2 reunion didn't cover a lot, and you've got all these new babies and all these things. I feel like they need to do kind of like how they do After the Altar for Love is Blind. I would love if they would do like an After the Altar style special for our season and for season 2, just because there's so much that's gone on and that's happened. And especially for season 2, I want more resolution.
Yes, I love that. After
I was gonna say, because I want to know, like, I feel like the reunion goes so quick, but I want to know, like, who actually got married, like who's having kids, like who is not together, and like are they dating other people, and like all the issues they talked about on the show, like was it resolved or how was it resolved? I know. I feel like that's
Roxanne
missing.
and Antonio's current day today. Like,
oh my God. Can we talk about them? Let's talk about them, because there's, based on what I saw with their body language and how Roxanne was like interacting with Antonio, like with certain questions, I was just like, this couple is not meant to be together. Like, Antonio needs to snap out of it and see that Roxanne is just never going to be the person that is going to make him happy. Like, was I just crazy to feel that way?
I feel like he feels really happy with like having this like business woman, because he says it himself. He's like, Roxanne is out of my league. And I feel like he thinks he needs that to be a better, he always says like a better man. And I feel like he thinks like he needs Roxanne, like someone who is, I don't know. They very much confuse me, especially with the update they gave at the reunion. Like, because I feel like they view each other so differently. I remember Roxanne said in one of the episodes, in the later episodes, she goes to Antonio, like, I'm not one of those girls in their 20s, and it's because I'm so much older than you. But then I saw their ages, and Roxanne is 31 and Antonio is 30. So I'm like, what?
And also what she said before that comment, before the 20 whatever comment, I thought it was so rude, the way she was like, I am in a different league, I'm established, I'm older, blah blah blah. And I was just like, why is this another take to put Antonio down? Literally all he's asking is, can you say I love you to me? It's not that fucking
conversation
hard.
did bother me.
Yeah, it's not that fucking hard. Just say I love you. If you truly love someone, that would be really easy words to say. You're literally trying to be combative. That's how it came off to me. I don't know why I got heated, but I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I think I have a soft spot for Antonio.
In that conversation, Roxanne kind of reminded me of some guys I know who are like, I know it sounds weird, but like kind of hesitant to just say or do things just for the sake of not doing them in a way. I was like, just say you love him back. But I have a theory, and I don't know why I feel this way. I think that Roxanne is probably softer and sweeter with him off camera.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she puts up a front of like that she is this hardcore businesswoman, and she has to, I feel like in front of the cameras, because she knows it's her like persona. Yeah, she turns it up a little bit. So she goes a little bit harder. And I don't know if it's like also producer pushed, or they're like, oh, like they're feeding it in, but I feel like she's repeating it so much that it's like a persona she's just trying to portray on camera.
Right.
Even though she is that person, but you're right. I think she is turning it up.
But you know what's interesting though? If I watched the season back, like at the reunion, I thought she would like be a little bit more softer with Antonio and being like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or what, like owned up to certain things, but they never asked any of those questions. Like, Antonio, how did you feel when Roxanne was saying these things to Alex's parents and to Alex? Like, none of that stuff was addressed. And I was just like, oh, I'm left wanting more, you know?
Yeah. I did see an article where Antonio talks about Alex, like the fight that they had, and Antonio takes it back. He goes, I don't think Alex had bad intentions, saying that Roxanne didn't respect me. So he actually said that now watching the show. He goes, I think it was just, I think he said something like, I think it was just like said incorrectly. So I think Antonio knows now like where it came from, now watching the things Roxanne was saying to other people. But I'm like shocked you're right. Like I'm shocked they didn't address that at the reunion. Like,
and also why is Roxanne not wearing her ring? I thought her reasoning was an excuse. It was an excuse like, oh, I don't think a woman should have to wear it. I loved how Ryan and the rest of the cast were like, well, why don't you just get him a ring, like an engagement style ring to wear too? And she's like, why would you suggest that? Just kidding. But I thought that was really
what did you think about that, Rae? Like, I know she says like she doesn't see a place of marriage in her life right now, but they're engaged, I guess. Actually, I don't know exactly what their like status is. I know they're together, but
I think
it's confusing.
maybe I think they'll get re-engaged when the time is right for them, and it might be more authentic. I think maybe the pressure of the camera made her say yes. It feels like she said yes, but not yes.
Exactly.
But she said yes.
She said kinda.
like okay. I feel like when someone is like really happy to be engaged, they're like,
yeah,
and there's just a little bit more like there's more of like a glow to it. I feel like it seems kind of like an obligation for her at this point. I don't know.
Yes. Remember when she was like, I have a ring on every other finger but the one ring finger.
So it's not like she's not a jewelry girl. It's like she's just not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Engaged girl.
I think she's just resistant to commitment. I don't know what her background is. I don't know. Maybe she was like really hurt in the past by previous partners and she doesn't want to look dumb. She doesn't want to look vulnerable. She doesn't want to like give her all and like be that like emotional woman who's like excited about love because maybe she's been hurt in the past. I have no idea.
Yeah. There's a lot up for interpretation because I feel like we don't get the full picture. Like you said earlier, it's like we see one-dimensional characteristics of all of these people.
I think she's secretly a lover girl. I think she's sweet to him in private. I do. I think so. Otherwise, I don't think he would be there.
Yeah, and I don't think she'd keep him around.
Because if you look at like the night cams or like I don't know if it's like hidden cameras. I think that they know that they're there.
No, they're inside.
But yeah, like I don't know. You could tell she's like. We didn't have that for Love Is Blind. We just assumed that they were like hidden around the apartment.
Are you kidding me?
But we didn't have like cameras.
They're giant. They're giant. They're in every corner. Like they're huge. Like you see them. They can talk to you through the cameras. We have to be monitoring our cameras 24/7 in LA, and they could like comment to you. Like one time, like I wasn't thinking, and I was like, we weren't filming, and I was kind of like moving in my room. I think it was like when I was living with Jake, and someone said from the camera, "Nice moves, Rae," and I was like, okay.
That's so creepy, but I'm kind of glad they did so like know that they're watching.
Wait, I hate that.
I know.
Because the stuff I do like by myself, like I'm weird. Like I'll like just like smell my armpit. Like, like I'm like sitting on the couch. I'm like,
people do that.
Wait, no, yeah, we didn't have that. We didn't have that at all. Like that's why we had so much like time alone.
Yeah, thank God for that. I could not be monitored 24/7. I wouldn't do it.
Bathroom, like not the bathroom, like the entryway to the bathroom, the kitchen, the bedroom. Like you have privacy in the bathroom only. Everything else is monitored. So we didn't have that privacy. Like no.
Wow, that's insane.
Sometimes, like when I think about us filming Love Is Blind, sometimes I wish there was a camera there because I feel like sometimes like context is missing or they can't put things in the show because it doesn't make sense. Like they don't have the footage, but if they did, it would make like a lot of sense. Like I feel like I never fully explained why I said no on my wedding day. It was kind of just like, well, it's just because I said he drank too much the night before. And I was like, well, it wasn't that. There was a lot more that happened. Or, in front of the actual cameras, we're acting like everything's great. But behind the scenes, it wasn't like that. And I think it would have made a lot more sense why like Shane and I didn't work out. It's like things like that where I was like, I'm glad there wasn't because I would have been like so tense all the time. But sometimes I wish there was because I think you could add more to the storyline. Or like things make more sense or, I don't know. That's my thing about it.
I have a criticism about Love Is Blind as someone who's did like a different show. Sorry, I just have to like throw this out there. I hate how much pressure they put on Love Is Blind cast to stay together. And like they did something wrong if they don't say yes at the altar. I'm like, guys, I get it. It's TV, but like think about this like really, really like logically. You're talking to somebody through a fucking wall. You meet them in person. Either it's going to work or it's not. It's crazy to even get to that point. And it's a legal marriage. You would have to go through like an annulment or divorce or whatever it is. And I feel like people treat the cast that say no sometimes in such a harsh way. And I'm like, please put yourself in their shoes for 5 seconds. And also like for like when the women say no, I think it's like, you don't know if this guy was kind of portraying something just because it's on camera. Also, and you're making it's like a decision of marriage. Like with the Ultimatum, we've been with these people for years, and like the only person that we're kind of looking at is like our new trial partner. Like with Love Is Blind, you don't know anybody. So I think my criticism is like I hate how people treat the people that say no. Sorry.
And it's interesting because I think that's what it is. It's like the people who have gotten married from this experience or this experiment, I feel like they just got really lucky. Because realistically, like, there's no chance you know somebody, from Love Is Blind, like that you literally, like, I just feel like there's no chance that you would know somebody in that short of time. Yeah. That's why I love our season. I like the fact that people chose to leave, because leaving people and getting divorces and breaking up is a part of life. And when it's right for you, you need to make that step. And I think I think when people say no, it sets a bigger example and a better boundary. I feel like you can learn more from that.
Yeah. And I think it's really hard when you meet through a TV show. I think getting a divorce and knowing like people are going to have comments and questions about it.
Yes.
I think still going through with it and not giving in to like public pressure says a lot.
Well, what are you guys' like final thoughts on Reunion? Like, anything stand out to you?
We got to talk about Lisa and Raya.
Oh my God. Yeah, we do.
I know we didn't, I know we touched on it a little bit, but like, damn, Lisa. They really, you know what? She should have stayed on the show. I don't care that she got pregnant. She should have stayed, because like, she brings it. Yeah. But can I be honest? I was shocked that she did not say sorry to Raya, and she's just like, she kind of like doubled down on what she said, even though she had also formerly worked at Hooters. I loved when Raya mentioned that Lisa formerly worked at Hooters.
She's like, I don't care. I was like, oh, okay. That was so funny to me. Wait, what did you think about that situation, Rae? I want to know your thoughts.
I don't know if maybe she apologized and it was cut out.
When Roxanne chimed in on the situation and she was like, oh, and also, by the way, she probably had pregnancy hormones. That's when Lisa was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I truly am sorry. Like, okay. It was like that. But she said
I don't think she apologized to Raya though directly. I think she just said that, you know, it's like, she didn't say sorry to Raya. She just said like, oh yeah, I wasn't acting like myself, like towards her actions towards Brian. But I think it looked like the way it was edited that she doubled down on what she said to Raya, and they don't follow each other on Instagram. So I do think that there is some like tense,
of course,
like there's tension between the two of them.
They weren't. And I think Lisa did post something to the effect of like, she did apologize, I think, to Raya.
Oh, she did?
Privately. There was a post, she did a paragraph. I don't want to misquote her, but it was something like, I'm going to apologize publicly, and I did apologize privately. So I don't know if the reunion was just clipped weird, but yeah, you
could see Raya's demeanor completely changed after the first time that Lisa doubled down. She was like, oh great. But the Hooters thing really got me, you guys. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know she worked at Hooters prior. Like, what?
Yeah.
I know. I was like, calling someone a Hooters bitch is, when you also worked at Hooters, is just not good. I was like, it's just not like, because I was like, then like, what do you really mean by that? Like, what does Hooters bitch mean to you when you used to work there?
Making negative comments about how any woman makes money.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And to that, I also wanted to say, I saw some criticism online about Roxanne, about people saying, oh, I thought she had a real business. She's just selling pasties.
I thought that was stupid.
That is a real business. Women run the economy. We are the biggest consumer, especially in America. So Roxanne it's still a product. You're still marketing. You still have employees. You're still shipping. You're still like merchandising. It's still the same thing. You just are trying to like say her business is illegitimate because it's a woman's product and because it's like for boobs. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
no, 100%.
Yeah.
I saw that too. And I was like, that's bullshit, because I was all like, she still had to get that up the ground. She still had to like create that product or like distribute it somehow. Like that's a real fucking business. I think it's honestly, look, we've all been in the shoes. When you get a less than favorable edit, people just come at you. Let's be real. If this was Ryann and she owned the pasties business it would be a whole different story.
People would be like, oh,
like
good,
the support.
Go girl boss, right?
That's so true. And like, people on the internet sometimes are like sheep. Like they see one or two comments and they're like, yeah, and they just pile on, you know?
Yes.
It's like, have an original thought, please.
Yeah.
I think what was really hard when I saw the original fight Lisa and Brian had and what Lisa was saying about Raya is the way she compared Raya and Roxanne, where she goes, it would have been like, you could have been with Roxanne who would have challenged you, but instead you're with a Hooters bitch who like won't benefit you or like challenge you in any way. So I was like, It sucks if the edit is true at the reunion and Lisa doubled down because it kind of says more about her respect for Raya, if that makes sense. I feel like that would be really hard for me to watch.
To offer to anyone, basically.
Yeah. And so when Roxanne tries to like defend Lisa and say, it was your hormones, but I was like, yeah, but that's like besides the point in my eyes when you say something like that. But I'm glad she did apologize, Lisa, because, you know, I feel like it was needed.
Yeah, 100%. 100% needed. Did Alex and Kat surprise you guys that they got engaged or how their story's unfolding?
No.
I'm proud of Alex for seeing Kat for who she is. I truly started to love Kat more in the later episodes.
I love Kat.
Yeah, like he like came to the realization that confidence and, you know, being strong does not equate to how loud you are. You know, like you can be silent and still be like a strong force, you know? I loved that he finally realized that and like saw her strengths. And, you know, I liked that. But hopefully Alex is stepping up to the plate because I think Kat deserves the best.
Yeah. Can I tell you about Alex? What kind of like turned me off in the later episodes is when Kat is talking about like what she needs. Like she goes, I need like, I want to hear the words I love you.
Love language.
Alex is like, well, that's not like how I don't feel anything from like words of affirmation. And he goes, here's how I like to feel love. And I was like, Alex, I feel like, I don't know if it's because Kat does so much for you or I don't know, that lack of like awareness just really bothered me type of thing. I think because I've been in that situation before where I'm like, okay, there's not a lot of consideration of like how I want to receive love. Right. So it was just like hard to see that conversation of just like, I don't know, like it has to be like equal.
That quote that says, love your partner how they need to receive love, not how you need to receive love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's also, it's a prime example of how compatibility really does win over love. As much as you love your partner, it doesn't matter if you're not willing to compromise and love them how they need to be loved. It's just never going to work.
Yeah.
So
I do think that they're compatible though, Kat and Alex. I think something about their personalities is going to make them work long term. I hate saying it. I feel like Kat, I really, really like Kat a lot. Even though Alex says like she's timid and quiet, I was like, that's not true. She's just more, I think that she is the smartest person there and that she doesn't let emotions dictate her words and her reactions. She looks at everything objectively. The way she speaks is very eloquent. You could tell she takes time to process and she's a nurse. So it's like, imagine her working all day as a nurse and then coming home to like this freaking drama with like Antonio, Alex, and Roxanne. Yeah. It's like, she's probably just like, I don't know. I think it says a lot of, I really like her. And I feel like Alex doesn't, at least based on the edit in the episodes, he didn't really see her for like the strong person she is and how like smart she is by the way she's able to control her emotions and speak very objectively and like calmly with what's going on. I don't know. That was my take.
I think in that instance, Roxanne helped him a lot to realize that. But go ahead, Rae.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think that she's too agreeable. I don't think that she's a yes woman. I think what we're seeing is that she, and especially like working as a nurse, she's an empathetic listener. She's the type to listen and say, yes, I hear you, and then give her feedback after she's had a chance to process it. I don't think she's just a yes woman.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the way I perceived her.
Yeah. Let's not assume silent or calm or shy equates to not being smart or dominant or like whatever. You know what I mean? It's just like,
I think it came down to the edit though. I think like because Roxanne, Alex, and even Antonio kept saying like, oh, she's using words like timid, quiet, you know, like her being like nodding all the time and saying, yeah. And I think that was so highlighted that was just her like character in the beginning. But yeah, you're right. I don't think that's like who she is.
I love the fact that you said the nodding thing, because I am also like Kat, where I'm an agreeable nodder. Whereas like when people talk, I'm just like this, but it doesn't mean I agree with you. I'm just like, I'm listening to you. I'm just listening. Like I don't fucking agree all the time. But that's a great point that Kat brought up. She's like, I'm going to work on my agreeable nods. So I'm like, me too, Kat. Me too. That was good.
Okay, to wrap this up, all the couples at the reunion are together. Was that surprising to you by any, like, were you surprised that all of them are together?
No.
Really?
I didn't see any switches happening, and I really didn't see any breakups happening, and I really hope that all 4 of the couples are genuinely happy and that they're able to get through all the negative comments that are going to come in for the next 6 to 7 months. I think it's boring a little bit for the viewers. You know, we want the switch, we want one breakup, we want we want somebody who's actually married, we want all the drama that we got from season 1. But I think this was the best outcome for everyone's mental health.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a little dull, okay, I'm glad that they're happy as people.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, what are you working on? How is life going for you? Like, what's been going on in your world?
Yeah.
I have just, I mean, I do a little bit of, I guess, influencing. Like, I do a little bit of content on TikTok here and there and Instagram. I have a brand deal here and there. But my main thing is I'm a 911 operator. I love my job. I've been working like 40 to 50 hours a week. I feel really good about the work I've been doing. I'm still located in Austin, Texas, and I do have a new boyfriend. After me and the girl that I was dating, we split up. We're still friends. I got with him, the one who walked in, the one who stole my headphones. And him and I are doing really good, and I'm just doing really good. I think something I have the chance on this platform to want to speak on is just as far as like how people perceive these kinetic content shows, because they're so serious and they're so seriously produced. Remember that you are watching someone probably at some of the worst moments in a very high stress situation, and on top of them not being at their best, it is also edited. I did recently, I've been really good at blocking out the internet hate because I don't really care, but I did recently have somebody figure out where I live and approach me in person. It was very scary, and I had to file a police report, and I have a whole lot going on right now. And I just kind of wanted to take the chance to say, guys, it is entertainment. Make some popcorn, watch the show, laugh, post the memes, post the jokes, make fun of people, but do not take it so seriously to where someone who's like a year out, like 2 years out, is getting harassed at their home. And I'm still getting negative messages and threats and all that for things that I didn't even do. So just remember to watch these shows and enjoy them and like connect with people you connect with, but also relax, touch grass, you know.
Yeah.
Like enjoy the shows, but don't, take it to heart.
Yeah. I read something just recently where it was like, it takes a lot more effort to go find the person on social media and leave them a hate comment rather than just leaving it be. Just don't do anything. Like, and I was like, I love that, because sometimes people just need to take a step back.
I'm sorry that happened to you though. That is just, that's wild. And you know, when we sign up for these things and when we're edited in different ways, because, we have to be boxed into certain characters like villains or, the girl that did this and all this stuff. You just never think about like how like our safety and our mental health is put into play. So I'm sorry that happened. That is like not okay. But that message, I feel like, needs to be shared like more broadly when it comes to like these super fans of these shows and like hardcore viewers of these
super
shows.
haters.
Super haters,
And that's your safe space. Like it's really shitty.
So well, I'm glad you're okay. But we just want to thank you for coming on this podcast. I just want to say this, like, Rae, you were just very like empathetic and intelligent. Like, I'm so glad you came on, because I think it reminds Deepti and I that we're not only recapping a show, but we've also been in like all these people's shoes at one point. If we've all experienced the backlash, we all know what it's like to be like plummeted on social media. And I think it's just a reminder for us to be like cognizant of that because we go hard on some of these characters too. And we forget that one time we were characters on a show, and I call them characters because it's like one dimensions of us. So it's just like a good reminder of us to like be kind as we recap. and just think about how we've been in their shoes at one point. So I just want to thank you for that.
You humanize the show. So.
Yeah. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
Rae.Williams on Instagram, and then I'm on TikTok. I think I'm cooler on TikTok.
I think you are cooler on TikTok. I see your stuff pop up all the time.
That's where I'm at.
Amazing. Well, thank you again so much, and we hope you come back soon.
Thank you.
The ultimatum recap.
As always, we absolutely love getting your thoughts. So send us your comments to our Instagram page at Out of the Pods.
And make sure you leave a review and subscribe because we love reading your reviews. See you next Wednesday.
Bye.